Hello? Where am I? What is this place? I'm so confused. Who are you guys? Why is there... Oh, hell no! Have you ever listened to an album and felt it so deeply in your core? Like every thought and feeling that you've never cared to vocalize was suddenly just there? I didn't want to get too depressing, but that's the truth. And if you've ever had the misfortune of knowing how that feels, I get you. And apparently so does Cupid Deluxe. Released in 2013, Blood Orange's Cupid Deluxe consists of 11 tracks, 6 featured artists, and has a runtime of 51 minutes. Now, it's important to note that in this album review, I will not be going too deeply into bass facts, as my version of a review is subjective. So this is your warning. If you are looking for an accurate depiction of Cupid Deluxe, this is not your video. But those of you willing to hear me out on my heavily inaccurate interpretation of Cupid Deluxe, I thank you. Going into the album, I want to make one thing clear. Cupid Deluxe does not fit into one box. And frankly, that's the point. Cupid Deluxe isn't pop and it's not R&B, it's something between the two, something that transcends genre. Almost like one of those moments that you feel but you still can't remember. And at its core, that's kind of what Cupid Deluxe is capturing. It's the ache of self-sabotage between fleeting moments. And Devonte Hines, the mastermind behind Blood Orange, does an amazing job at capturing that. Cupid Deluxe surrounds you when you listen to it, even when you don't want it to. And I feel like that's especially captured in the way that Dev uses his featured artists. And I know I said I wasn't gonna go too deep, but I think it's important to note that each one of the featured artists adds something to the album. Whether it's the deepening of the album's sonic or emotional range, each feature makes themselves prominent. For example, Caroline Polachek of Chairlift haunts every record she's on with her airy vocals, setting a tone, vulnerability, one that runs through the album. Meanwhile, Samantha Urbani, another featured vocalist, who was also Dev's girlfriend at the time, adds a layer of emotional intimacy to the album. And it's through the chemistry she shares with Hines that makes songs like You're Not Good Enough and Always Let You Down hit the way they do. It's almost as if we were watching their relationship perish in real time. And while that's exactly what happens throughout the album, I don't think that the album's narrative is as straightforward as girl and guy face relationship problems. To me, the album's narrative is a lot more complex. For those of you sticking around to hear my absolutely insane theory, again, thank you. This is where I'm at risk of sounding completely insane, but to me, in this album, Samantha Urbani isn't real. To me, she is merely a manifestation of Devonte Hines' insecurities within his relationship with Caroline Polachek. She is reality. She is the real girlfriend. Samantha Urbani is a figment. She is a manifestation of Devonte Hines' insecurities within a relationship. And I know that's kind of where I might lose some of you, but give me a chance to prove it. Cupid Deluxe is mainly told through the perspective of Devonte Hines, and we see that through the album's first track, Che McKay, featuring Caroline Polachek. He begins his first line. If given, left me lonely. Notice how that line is only sung by Hines, while Caroline Polachek only joins in for the second line. If given was my friend. This is the first we hear of Caroline Polachek, and even when she does come in, she's muffled. This is fully intentional. In fact, it sets up a lot of the emotional uncertainty that this album lives under. What I mean by this is the intentional separation / muffling of Polachek's voice solidifies Dev and her as two separate people, and one thing is clear. They will both stay in that relationship regardless of its hardships, because it's for the better. I mean, they even say so themselves. I'm keeping all the old things. I'm keeping my loose It's the first set of lyric Polachek finally sings coherently on. It's her playing her part. It's what Heinz can still make of her while he is romanticizing their drift and fully playing into his part. Self-sabotage? He's detaching from her. It's why her vocals are so airy. That's why they're so far away. He isn't seeing her, yet she still feeds the cycle, trying to convince anyone, herself, that it's worth staying, when really it's not. They're unreliable narrators. And Blood Orange, who carries the unreliable narrator title, channels this sorrow and he builds it through the rest of the song and frankly through the rest of the album, evident in the second verse.
I'm nothing without subtle. Heartache at its best. Are you the one who breaks my heart out of my chest?
It's him self-destructing, and he admits to it. He admits to not knowing a life beyond heartache. It's why he questions Caroline's willingness to stay. It's bittersweet, staying in a relationship that's collapsing because the feeling itself is too precious to abandon. But alas, that's what Caroline enables as we get to Che McKay's chorus.
I'll never leave you, you're thinking that it's all the same. I'll never trust you, you're thinking that it's just a game.
I mean, the chorus as a whole paints like an empty promise. Caroline promises she won't leave because she believes their relationship is different, but if he takes her lightly, she won't trust him. The entire song, a reflection of their relationship, is just coated with contradiction, insecurity, and lack of self-respect. This is especially evident in the following lyric.
I see you waiting for a girl like me to come along.
The line captures how the initial promise is merely an attempt at reassurance in a relationship that already feels uncertain. Because even though they're both promising each other things, they both still suspect that they're going to leave each other. Again, it's why Polachek's voice feels so weightless. She's bleeding. And that's what makes Cupid Deluxe so haunting. It never really resolves. It remains unsolved. And trust me, I've tried, but I've just turned my brain upside down and left myself with mush and just let myself go into spiral after spiral after spiral until I just wasn't good enough. While Che McKay chose to slowly unravel its emotions, this song dances through denial. It's upbeat, catchy, and way too fun for what it's actually saying. You're Not Good Enough marks the beginning of Samantha Urbani and Devonte Hines' shared voice throughout Cupid Deluxe. In this song, their vocals blur together so closely that it's hard to tell who's saying what at certain points. And I think that's the point. Even though this is Urbani's first song, it's clear that she isn't just a feature. She is the echo of Hines' inner voice, the very one that reassures all of his spirals. And we see that in the main verse of the song.
You never could have been a good lover. Watch what you say. Could never mean a word, still hurt you.
When she sings, she's confirming Hines' worst fears. But the thing is, he's also there singing with her. Their voices are merging until they become indistinguishable. And the song slowly becomes less of a duet and more of a loop, kind of like a conversation that Hines is definitely losing. And that's why the song mostly feels like Urbani. It sounds like you can only hear her.
Fall asleep right next to me. You know what you were never good enough.
And it kind of shows how Dev lets his doubt take over. And Dev chooses to carry that doubt into his next song. And this track immediately feels different. It opens with a groovy guitar line and, for once, no feature. It's the only song where Dev stands alone. And while the song basks in some kind of solitude, it doesn't sound lonely. No, it almost sounds taunting, almost smug, like Dev is finally stepping into his role of evil male manipulator. I mean, just listen to these lyrics.
I'm everything you need. Put all you need in me.
Hines doesn't sound sweet in these. He sounds downright manipulative, as if he was enjoying the feeling of being needed while actively running away from it. He isn't chasing love, he's performing it, twisting it, and making it prove itself just because it can. It's what makes Uncle Ace hit harder. This is the most unfiltered version of Hines we get to see through the album. It's Hines without the illusion. No Samantha, no voices, no masks, no excuses. It shows us how they don't hate him, he just hates him. It's why the track ends so sharply, with its suspenseful guitar and keyboard. It's not closure, it's not even a realization. It's just Dev sitting with the wreckage of his emotions. He's pretending to be comfortable in them, while he's not really. He's just basking in the isolation that it's made. And he carries it over to No Right Thing, Cupid Deluxe's fourth track that features David Longstrength and Samantha Urbani. And to be real, this song marks a pivot in the album. Not only does it world build by adding a character, it's a huge contrast to everyone we've met so far, because this character, his friend, seems to look out for him. And it's clear throughout the song, as Longstrength sings,
I can't watch you throw it all away. You are playing games. I'm trying to help you run down, escape. And what we saw was you on your own, and I'm on my own, and we were wrong. There's no wrong thing.
These lyrics establish a relationship between the two, and if you read into them, certain words like "we were wrong" show us how they both have shared experiences, and they almost tell us that at a certain point, this friend was an enabler to Devontae's behavior, but now he just refuses to let Hines lose himself. Again, that's why this song is so pivotal. It's the first outside voice to get to Hines, because even though Samantha Urbani and Caroline Polachek are technically outside voices, Samantha Urbani is really just in his head, and he just dismisses Caroline Polachek in every track she's in because he's too wrapped up in himself. That's why Uncle Ace was just him. It was setting up an unfiltered version of Dev so that his friend could get through to him. It's why in the next few lyrics he accepts that maybe he really isn't alright.
This what it comes to, knowing we're broken.
And by accepting the fact that he isn't okay, it's easier for him to admit that he's wrong, that he's been hurting the people in his life because of this emotional blindness. He sings,
This where we got to, knowing that you're the wrong thing.
this is Dev realizing that he himself is wrong for his actions. He's wrong to treat people, Polachek, the way that he does. He's coming into a new perspective, and it's how we end up with the most beautiful bridge on this album, in my opinion at least.
But you can't see me when you're pushing me away. You can't see me when you're pushing me away. I'm the one who sees you, I'm the one who needs you.
Samantha Urbani's bridge is a message to Dev from Dev. It's the first time her voice isn't a projection of his insecurities. And through her, Heinz is internalizing what Longstrength was saying, that he isn't right for the way that he treats people. And Urbani's bridge is marking the moment that his inner voice stops projecting those negative insecurities and starts telling him truths, which opens the doors perfectly for our next track. Personally, one of my favorites. It continues the story from No Right Thing seamlessly. Dev Heinz is still wrestling with his insecurities, but now, unlike before, we hear them directly from him and no longer from a facade.
I've kept it open and wanted nobody to be my friend. I've wasted moments in every life and lost it all. So are you smoking? Don't tell me, baby, you can't work this out.
Through these lyrics, it's obvious that Heinz is still deeply insecure, but the tides have changed. He's no longer using Urbani's voice to project that, he's using his own, and he uses Urbani's voice as a sort of voice of reason, to an extent.
Time will tell if you can figure this and work it out. No one's waiting for you anyway, so don't be stressed now. Even if it's something that you had your eye on, it is what it is.
He's using her voice as a sort of driving force for himself. The bridge is basically saying, you'll be okay with time, but it's up to you. And the chorus can be a little self-deprecating with the "there's no one waiting for you" line, but that's the point. It's evidence of how Heinz is still deeply insecure, but with Samantha's voice, he's trying. He says it himself.
On your own worries, I'm nothing even with my friends, but you make me think that I'm alive when I'm alone.
He's admitting that her voice offers a comfort even though she isn't real. Him feeling alive even when he's alone insinuates that she's around even when he is alone. It's proof that she lingers and that maybe he uses her voice as an escape to his own melancholic inner voice, doing so by putting her at the forefront of his own mind. And if you think about it, there's more proof in the next verse.
Was it real? Through the stages before I go home. Why wasn't it real? Roxy got me touching and I'm home. Taking it for granted that you're here with me.
If that entire verse isn't proof that Urbani is a manifestation of Devontae's needs, then I don't know what is. I mean, he's just blatantly asking her why they aren't real, why their conversations throughout this entire song are just a figment of his imagination. He's asking for closure. I mean, talk me through the stages before I go home. But he just ends with this feeling that he took Urbani's peaceful presence for granted. It's why he continues to question her.
Just tell me the truth.
But then eventually turns the question on himself.
Am I just the lonely favorite obsessive that ain't got no clue?
Whether or not this is a breakthrough, one thing is clear. Heinz was incredibly lost and isolated and unable to tell the difference between reality and what he made up in his mind. And while yes, through the last few songs he's been making progress, he's still a little too slow to figure it out, even with the slow healing, because that initial sabotage at the beginning of Cupid Deluxe had already bridged a gap between him and reality. It's what makes the album progress like it does, because when you listen to each track individually, you're left with beautiful singles without direction. But when interwoven, Cupid Deluxe reads the story of self-sabotage and isolation that started way before we ever got to know Devontae Heinz, which is why Chosen, featuring Caroline Polachek, fits where it does. We haven't seen Polachek since her appearance on Che McKay, and while Dev has been going through his bigger emotional pivots, Caroline has just been in the background. Until her appearance in Chosen, where she opens with an imagery-rich monologue about falling in love with a boy.
It was last weekend of September. I stayed up all night long, waiting for the fire ache in my heart to subside. It never happened.
This song is the kind that traps you, because when you listen to Chosen, you aren't just listening to a fire beat, you're listening to a deep yearning or closure that never comes. Because the fire ache that Polachek talks about isn't just longing, it's the pain of not being able to let go of a past intense emotional connection. Chosen is a reflection of desire, memory, and the weight of choosing a path you know will hurt. The song captures it in a way that is so intimate, almost as if you were in a journal as it was being written in. I mean, listen to this.
My favorite books, Around the Clock, Scars of My Knee. I see him behind my lids in a bright grey shirt. I see him tripping, running, falling, covered in dirt. I see a lot of these things lately, I know.
The lyrics show her remembering that person who caused that fire ache, presumably Heinz. The verse starts tender, but the way it closes feels like salt to a wound. That final line,
I know none of it is real.
It's her facing her truth, that all the vivid things she remembers aren't real, that they're all tinted by nostalgia and by what she wanted them to be. And that's when Heinz enters. And honestly, it would make more sense if Caroline sung this verse, especially with the theory that I've been building. It'd make my life way easier. But here's the thing. Chosen goes beyond a lot of what I've been projecting into this album. For one, this song is insanely queer. In the song's demo, the monologue is originally said by Heinz. This changes a lot. It reframes the entire perspective that the song is under. It's a continuation to Dev's own story. But Caroline's presence throughout the song proves how they both feel the same way about their relationship. A callback to Che McKay. Because when Heinz sings about this man's indescribable beauty, about not wanting to lose him, so he just chooses to lose time, Polachek had already told us her version of that exact story in the monologue. And for my theory, it's important to note that Samantha Urbani is listed as a backing vocalist. This is huge, because even when she's not front and center in the song, Urbani is still haunting Dev's narrative, lingering in the background of every emotional pivot, especially since she doesn't feature in Heinz's other song with Polachek. It makes me wonder if Urbani is the reason that Heinz suddenly starts to sound almost real around Caroline. I mean, he's speaking through his own voice instead of Urbani's like he would in the earlier tracks when she carried most of the emotional labor. This is where it starts to change, because he's becoming his own prominent voice. And that shift only grows in the next track, featuring composer Kindness and, you guessed it, Samantha Urbani. On the Line is where you really feel the change that Heinz has been building towards. His voice sounds firmer and he sounds more grounded, and for once he isn't masked by a facade. He opens the track.
Tell me if you caught my lie. My heart's not true. Tell me if we're on the line. Are we through?
And after listening to that, you might be thinking, didn't you just say he was changing? Yes, he is, because that verse marks self-awareness. He's admitting to have been a liar. He's admitting to have been manipulative in previous songs. And the thing is, in Chosen, we've established that yes, they are over, and that this song is just a continuation of what happens when Chosen is over, where he realizes that his untrue heart has put them on the line. And that's what makes this chorus all the much better.
Tell me, baby, are you mine? Is our love on the line? Tell me, baby, are you mine?
there's something haunting about it. I mean, Urbani only appears on that chorus, and she never echoes the lines where Hines admits fault, like,
Tell me if you got my line.
or,
My heart's not true.
that is completely intentional. It shows how they've split emotionally and how they're not mirroring each other anymore. It shows how Hines has grown from using Urbani to process things. I mean, clearly he still uses her, but he's made progress. He no longer uses her voice to villainize himself. He can use his own to admit that he's kinda terrible and manipulative. It shows growth and remorse, and that much is obvious. I mean, this entire song is him trying to salvage something he already sabotaged through sounding desperate and even begging. I mean, listen.
Tell me if you're in my life.
But he knows that ultimately their love is on the line and that he can't save it, and that the earlier he admits to it, the quicker he's going to move on. It's why the song feels like it's going to circles, and if you listen closely, you can see that the lyrics aren't even that diverse, and it sort of feels like he's going into a spiral. But this time, his own sense is peeking through, and not to sound like a broken record, but he's doing so through Urbani again. It was obvious to me near the end of the song. There's this moment when you think that the song is about to end. The last line of the chorus had been uttered and the beat seems to steady out. But instead of a fade out, you're met with the icy chill of Urbani's voice as she sings.
So baby, is that all you got?
Baby, are we on the line?
So baby, is that all you got?
Tell me, baby, are you mine?
So baby, is that all you got?
It's all on the line.
So baby, is that all you got?
It's basically the entire chorus with Urbani singing
So baby, is that all you got?
in between each line. The very chorus that was once sung by Urbani and Hines that now only Hines sings. It's like their voices have become almost estranged. They've become two separate people, no longer sharing lyrics, no longer sharing perspective. And we've seen that gradual build through It Is What It Is and No Right Thing. It's why Urbani is still challenging Hines's perspective, because while yes, he's made progress, it's kind of obvious through this song that he's still holding on to this relationship as a form of self-harm. It's why On the Line circles back to the same lingering question.
Tell me, baby, are you mine?
So yeah, he's growing, but he's got a long way to go. On the Line perfectly captures how growth isn't linear and how ultimately the low of letting go is how you grow. It's exactly what we see in the album's closing track, Time Will Tell. This track is chaotic, but in the best way, and to really get it, you kind of have to understand Cupid Deluxe as a whole. And I know that sounds pretentious as hell, but I mean it when I say that to understand this song, you need to understand everything that came before it.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Because Time Will Tell isn't just layered emotionally, it's layered musically too. It's built for listeners who have gone through the same emotional cycle as the album itself. We've felt the heartbreak, the longing, and the guilt, and by the time that we get here, we've grown with the album too. The song is basically a reflection, or more so a remix of everything that happened before it. I mean, it opens with the song It Is What It Is' chorus, and has multiple callbacks to Champagne Coast, a track from Dev's debut album, Coastal Cruise. But what makes Time Will Tell special isn't all of those callbacks, it's the fact that it can still stand on its own with those callbacks, standing as closure. Because when it opens with the chorus from It Is What It Is, there's one big difference. This time only Hines sings. Urbani's silence is deafening.
Time will tell if you can figure this and work it out. No one's waiting for you anymore, so don't be stressed now. Even if it's something that you got your eye on, it is what it is.
But don't get it twisted. Samantha Urbani is still in this track, and you can hear her faintly echoing some lyrics throughout the song. She's just no longer the lead, and Hines is no longer in her shadow. He finally sounds like his own person, and Urbani's voice is just fading into the background. I mean, listen to her.
And it keeps on telling you I've been waiting.
And to me, Urbani repeating that same lyric over and over again showcases something raw and real throughout the album. It represents how the people you were once deeply connected to never fully leave you. You can grow and move on, and time will pass, but some part of them will always stay. That's what makes the Coastal Grooves callback so personal. It's Hines looking into his own history and acknowledging how far he's come, but also admitting that those connections never really go away, even in his life. Time Will Tell is a perfect encapsulation of growth. It's about finally finding a foundation within yourself that isn't fully rooted in self-hatred, but is still haunted by the past. Because those people you once loved, the ones you hurt, they keep living, even without you. And that realization can be overwhelming, but also freeing. And Hines captures that perfectly as the memories pour in. It's clear that he's grown, but it's also clear that the relationship that he sings about, the kinds that change you, never really leave you, because no matter how absent that person is, they still live within you. In the end, Cupid Deluxe exists to remind you that you aren't the first person to go through something so world-shattering. And you aren't the first person to want to hide it. Because sometimes it really does feel easier to stay in the positive side of things. But Cupid Deluxe also is there to remind you that growth is possible during that. And it's probably better to grow. And this album interpretation exists to remind you that music is completely subjective. Because if you've been listening to this thing and you've been thinking, wow, she's crazy, none of this makes sense, yes, thank you for listening.